Good morning. Let's talk human trafficking. In light of the Diddy situation and the Abercrombie and Finch CEO, Mike Jeffries, I feel like a lot more of those type of situations are going to unfold, and I'm glad because I work a lot of human trafficking cases, and we don't really see higher up people fall. We often see local people, but I always say local people can't afford to really traffic people across state lines. They can't afford, they don't have the resources. So we need to find people who are funding these situations. You know what I'm saying? And when I say I work these cases, I have an organization, Hear Their Voices. And Hear Their Voices is not a nonprofit, but we do not charge parents or families to help search for their loved ones. Because most of the people we've searched for are in lower income environments or lower income families who can't afford private investigators. So we stand in the gap for those people, and we're all donation based. So we've kind of fell back a lot because, like I said, we're all donation based and not a lot of people pour into missing. But anyway, that's not this topic. Human trafficking. I often hear, why are they just speaking out? Why is the victim just saying something? A lot of times, what I've learned is that human trafficking victims don't first see themselves as victims. A lot of times the person that they left with, they built a rapport with, a relationship with, that's become their confidant in a way, closer than family. It's almost like for an average woman being in a relationship with a narcissist. Most of us have had those relationships where you're in a relationship with a narcissist. It starts the conversation, everything. They draw you in. They find your weaknesses. They find a way to prey on you. And then it switches up where they use those things against you. And you feel trapped in a situation you can't walk away from. And that is how the human trafficking ring gets these girls. They build rapport and relationships. They become their world in a sense. And that's why it doesn't just affect one demographic, the rich, the poor, the black, the white, the Hispanic. Any child, any person can be trafficked. It just depends on your mental and your relationships surrounding with the people in your life. If you feel like you're lacking in a place and they recognize that and they prey on it, and your mind is not strong enough to realize what's going on, then you'll walk right out your door. And that's the problem, is that most people walk right out their door. Most teens, most children walk right out their door. They don't have to come to your house. They tell them where to meet them. The child walks willingly right out your door. And then it's labeled as a runaway. And then that becomes an even bigger problem because they walked out your door. It's labeled as a runaway. And so the police don't take it as serious at first because it's a runaway. And runaways do not get the attention that they should. So that is kind of why I have one child that left when she was 14, and she ended up in Arizona, and we helped bring her home from Arizona. And she didn't see herself as a victim. And it's, even after the guy was charged, she still didn't see herself as a victim. No, regardless of what he did to her, what she went through, she didn't see herself as a victim. It takes time for your brain to fathom what you went through. The experience you experienced, that the person you thought loved you really didn't love you. And that you were victimized. And then you go through a stage of embarrassment because you blame you in a sense. Like, how did I do this to myself? How did I put myself in this situation? How did I do? So then it takes that time where you have to heal through that before you can even face outside people to even speak on your situation. So it's not simple. It's not as simple as people think it is. And it's not just a black and white. It's definitely shades of gray in there. And I think people need to be more sympathetic and empathetic to this situation. But I need you to pay attention, especially if you have kids, because it's not spoken on enough. But it is running rampant. When I say, I tell people all the time, the government views human trafficking as a modern day form of slavery. And that there's over 26 million people in trafficking right now. 26 million. How do we become slaves again? We don't talk about it. We hide it. And then it happens and we don't address it till it hits our front door. We don't pour into organizations and people who fight trafficking and fight missing until it hits our front door. So you have to be aware of these type of situations, and you have to highlight these type of situations, and you have to speak to your kids about it. Because we wait for somebody to walk in our front door. I remember my pastor said, we get a gun, we try to protect our home, we try to protect our kids, and the predator's already in your home. He's on your kid's phone, he's on your kid's internet, he's on their Instagram, their TikTok. He's already talking to them. And for some, he's talked to for years. 2 years. The one girl, she had built a relationship with the guy over 2 years before he sent her a ticket to fly out to Arizona. 2 years. And then there's a questionnaire where, do you qualify for trafficking? How long will it take your parents to realize you were missing? How long do people notice when you're gone? There's questions asked to fill out if that person is a candidate. And that's why it's important for us to be very involved in our kids' lives. But not just for that, but them to know they're loved, they're appreciated, that they're valued. So that value doesn't have to come from an outside person. And it's not just kids, it's adults too. It's broken children that turn into broken adults that get wrapped up in these situations as well. So it's all about healing and self-love and just bringing awareness to the situation. So you guys have a great Thursday. Please stay on top of the situation. To find out more about us, we'll hear their voices. There's a lot of videos here on TikTok. I have a YouTube, Voices of the Unheard, and Facebook, Hear Their Voices as well. Thank you.